both are was trying to figure it out and being honest about it, then I feel like growing up they would have a better understanding of how a relationship actually works instead of just thinking that is always something negative about it.
Very good point, sir.
I like that. All right, man. We're gonna take some time to pay some bills, and we're gonna get.
Sound like just like what Security Boss was talking about. Yeah, we need to do a better job of raising our kids so that they can actually work in cooperation with each other instead of just being in survival mode where they're just learning to do this. The gender war is dumb. Welcome back to Money, Marriage, and Media. Today, we're taking a look at it, cruise season. And we're going to jump right into the middle of a live. I think Security Boss is talking, but we're at a point where we're talking about the propaganda. One of the things that just some kind of want to set this up. One of the things that's blocking us from building, right, at a faster rate is the fact that we need to do a better job of raising our kids. Too much time is spent raising our kids to live in fear of one another, particularly our daughters. We're raising them not to trust the men in the community and even men in their own families. So we got to do a better job of that. But let's go ahead and get started, see what we got here.
Conversation without it acting like I'm saying, oh, like I don't get that. I can find a million YouTubers calling black women hoes and disparaging black women all over the internet. But I say one comment about something that is true, about a family member that is true, and y'all are triggered, all this, oh, what are they talking about?
Panel, I don't hear men speak of women that way. That's what I said. And I'm this is me talking. You all might hear that. That may be the places that you hear things. I'm just telling you all that if a woman had to hear that, I would be quite scared and fearful of men too. My point I was making is it 50% of the women suffering from DV? I think we've already said that the answer is no. So why can't we promote our men and say, look, there's a lot of good men out there too. This is how they respond. This is how they act. And also women. I'm always promoting a woman. I don't big up the women that are disrespectful to men. I big up the women that want to be wives. So I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And I'm not actually like saying, hey, do this, cuss that man out. He ain't no good. So I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm just asking the question is, can we change the face of the community as far as the black man to be a positive? Or are we really saying that the black man is no good? Because like I said, I have a good one. And all these ones on the panel here, I think they're pretty positive also. That was the only point I was making.
All right, y'all. We're gonna get back on track. Oh,
Conversation, always say positive things and move forward on the panel. Only say positive.
What?
I don't think she meant to say nothing.
Oh, go ahead, though. Question was, I don't need a man. Where do you feel like that thought process stems from, bro?
You're just a gumbo. I feel like you're just a gumbo. I mean, pretty much some of what everybody's.
Okay, hold on. I don't need a man. Where does that thought process stem from? Oh, I can tell you right now. Yeah, we're raising our daughters to think like that. We're raising them in survival mode. That's why I say we need to do a better job of raising our children to work in cooperation with one another. Instead, we're so focused on survival mode that, hey, you know what? You need to learn to do everything yourself so you don't have to depend on nobody. When we're seeing the long-term effects of that now. Single motherhood is at an all-time high. We keep talking about this, and nobody wants to be a single mom. Nobody wants to be a baby mama. Nobody wants to be a baby daddy. But yet here we are, and this culture keeps repeating itself. The only conclusion that I can make is that we were raised to be in this scenario, and it's what we thought was best. But clearly the results are in, and it's not. So we have to do a better job of teaching our children that, we want to work in cooperation. You got to figure out how to work with a man, with a woman. We still need each other.
Said, but to have my little own to it would be part of it would be men too, like the dads raising girls like, hey, I want to raise you correctly so that you don't have to depend on a man, because As a man, you know how ugly it is and how savage men can be. So you raise them to be able to do those things by themselves. And especially if you're a good man, you're gonna want to spoil your daughter and you want to provide all the things necessary, and then which doesn't really get her ready for the real world because it's not gonna be like that in the dating field. You know, a lot of times men will, try to shelter their daughters or, things like that and don't let her really experience life like she should, which it's a good thing, but then it kind of hinders them in the long run.
It hinders them if the vetting process is broken, which it is. Because again, if you're going to shelter them, okay, well, if that's your parenting strategy, fine. Then you need to go all the way with it. See, a lot of times, gentlemen, you got to start asking this question more, because when these women come with these sob stories about how they were mistreated by men in their lives, who vetted that man for you? This is a prime example. If you want to shelter your daughter, okay, fine. Take it all the way, and you need to vet the men that she's going to be dating for marriage. Who are the men that are going to be courting her? And you need to be a man about it. I'll just leave it at that, because most of you guys know what that means, right?
So I think we got to find that healthy balance in, showing them that, yes, you don't necessarily need a man, but, it would be great and beneficial if you had a solid one on your side or on your team.
No, I'm going to go ahead and disagree wholeheartedly with that. You do need a man. We need each other. Okay, because neither one of us is built for survival through the end of life, through retirement. We need to start planning. We need to do a better job of family planning. This is why the nuclear family is so important, because if you ever want to make it out of survival mode, and yes, you have to do that if you're starting to talk about building. You can't build while you're stuck in survival mode. The only way you're going to get out of that is together, right? You have to be working together. It's just not built for you to make it by yourself. And I get it. It's a lot of propaganda out there that says that. Well, yes, you can, because, I make my own money. Let's clear this up now, because this is a big misconception. Yes, women today, along with men, make more money than ever before. Without question, that's true. But you know what else is true? Inflation is a real thing. See, unfortunately, we're living off these standards that are 40 years old, that are from the early 80s. So if you make $50,000 a year, we're still comparing that to what would to make you making 50K back in the 80s. It's not the same. Inflation is a mother. And no, you don't make enough at that point. If you're a single person and you making, if you're making less than 40, which most people are in this country, right? You don't make enough to save for retirement. You don't. You make enough to survive. So this is why I say that we need each other, so we can combine our incomes so that we can clean up our finances as a unit and start working towards a single goal. Because you're trying to reach that goal by yourself. I got news for you. A day of reckoning is coming, because most people are not ready. They're not saving up for retirement, and they're not ready for the prolonged problems that come at age 65 plus. The frequent doctor trips, you got to make it back and forth to the doctor. At some point, that's going to become an issue where you're going to need somebody's help with that. Healthcare does not get cheaper as you get older. It doesn't. And most of us are not going to be able to stay in the workforce with that good job that you got. You're going to age out of the system. The more money you make, the more likely it is that you're going to not stay at that job past retirement age, because they're just going to pay. They're going to move on to somebody else who's younger, who they can pay less. Let's keep going though.
And so I just think we just got to change how we deliver the message, because women take things literal. Like I said before on the pod, like, women are black and white. They don't operate in the gray area. It's black and white. Men, we can kind of pivot. We can kind of find our way and see what's, in between what works for us. But women need it black and white.
Can I?
All right, I like it.
All right, cool. I'm just asking something small. I think it's like you said, it's delivery. A lot of times when we explain how relationships should be, it's coming from a negative standpoint, and I feel like that's the biggest thing. I feel like If we can learn how to teach from a positive standpoint, then that will change how their thought process growing up as far as children wise. If it's always if you all if it's you a mother and every time you explaining to your son or your daughter about something is because of something that your dad or dad didn't do, then that's what you always gonna listen. But if you always gonna excuse me listen about. But if you going in with the standpoint of saying that like we both are was trying to figure it out and being honest about it, then I feel like growing up they would have a better understanding of how a relationship actually works instead of just thinking that is always something negative about it.
Very good point, sir.
I like that. All right, man. We're gonna take some time to pay some bills, and we're gonna get.
Sound like just like what security boss was talking about. Yeah, we need to do a better job of raising our kids so that they can actually work in cooperation with each other instead of just being in survival mode where they're just learning to do this. The gender war is dumb. We still need each other, people. But look, guys, we're gonna cut this here because I think the point was made here is that I don't need a man. Where does that come from? We're teaching our children that to be stuck in survival mode, and you can't build when you're in survival mode. Only through cooperation are we ever going to get this thing back on track. I'm going to say those to the next time. Peace.